Hello and welcome back to the Zenjutsu Dojo. I'm Dr. Chris Warholic.
And I'm Malia Warholic.
And today's presentation is entitled Intro to Meditation Postures, Preparation, Positions, and Importance. Our objectives are as follows. By the end of the presentation, you should be able to really understand how to prepare for meditation.
You should be able to list the most common meditation positions, and you should be able to describe why proper posture matters.
It's hard to say, huh, Malia?
It is.
So as far as preparation is concerned, it's important to understand that eventually you'll find that there's no preparation needed. You can actually get off the cushion and do it spontaneously or on the spot meditation. You can also practice, and we'll teach you some techniques of micro meditation. One of those techniques is called I Am. Another one is One Word, One Breath. We have a lot of them, and I would encourage you to watch those videos in the future. So also, although a lot of these things should be able to become spontaneous, as with any martial art, it's very important when you first get started to understand that you should have the basics down pat, right? You can always come back to the basics if you're having difficulty. So this presentation really is on developing a good formal practice. So for me, my formal practice starts in the morning, right? I started and learned these techniques a long time ago. I've discovered subsequently that in the morning my mind's a bit more clear. When I do meditate in the morning, it makes my day much, much better. I feel much more calm and centered. So the specific details of preparation are as follows. So first, you got to find a location that's conducive for meditation, right? So you need a dedicated space. It can be outdoors or indoors. You have to make sure that the temperature level is appropriate, that the noise levels are appropriate for you, what you'll tolerate as far as distractions concerned. Make sure that there are no major elements like rain, thunderstorm, hailstorms, etc. Make sure there are no hazards, no attacking grizzly bears, or no potential fires, right? Also, you have to make sure that other people within your area or within sort of the purview of where you're at need to understand and be very respectful of the space and time that you're utilizing to meditate, right?
You need to minimize the distractions. On the outside, it needs to be quiet, technology needs to be off, and you have to have scheduled free time. You should have a journal, and if your mind is racing, inventory your worries. You shouldn't need to go to the bathroom, you shouldn't be hungry or thirsty, and your clothing should be appropriate, temperature-wise, comfort-wise, all of that.
Yeah, it's like going to the gym. When you go to the gym, you don't go in a suit and tie, right? You don't go in like sneakers, right? So you have to make sure that you prepare for your practice. So also make sure that you have a comfortable chair, or you could sit on a meditation cushion. I personally like to use an ottoman because of the way that it's slant. As my old legs, I have a hard time getting them into the lotus position. So an ottoman really works for me, but I also use a meditation cushion a lot. So as far as the specific postures, we won't go into the details of the specific postures, but some of the common postures used for meditation are as follows. So Malia?
You could be in a sitting cushion. You could be sitting in a chair. You could be standing. You could be lying down, or you could be walking.
You can also be living and be off the couch, right? So we should be able to take our meditation anywhere we go. Also, there's more active meditation practices such as yoga, tai chi. You can do it while you're exercising. If you're an athlete, a lot of top athletes actually meditate prior to, and they actually consider part of what they're doing during their sport as a meditative practice, right? Some people even get into the zone, or what they call the flow. So why then do postures really matter? This is very important. So Malia, why do postures matter?
It maximizes comfort and minimizes distractions.
It also allows proper physiologic functions to occur. I know that we don't like to talk about those things a lot, but it really allows the body to work properly, right? And also, proper posture is really the first step in learning how to self-regulate, right? The autonomic nervous system, which is the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, also helps you to detect the vagal tone and regulate the vagal tone, which we'll discuss just a minute, and also helps you to eventually regulate the downstream effects, so the hormonal effects created by the HPAA, which is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Fancy words. So as far as maximizing comfort is concerned, so comfort is very subjective. and it's difficult to define because it's really a perception or a judgment, right? So loosely defined, however, comfort from a Zenjutsu standpoint is really the perceptual value a person places on their physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual state. So simply put, most people think of comfort as being the absence of noxious stimuli or the negative perception of the stimuli that they're receiving, right? This is really a judgment of internal or external stimuli as being negative. So note that comfort is not synonymous with pleasure, joy, contentment, or happiness. As we'll discuss in future presentations, really challenging our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual comfort levels often is the path or lights the path to a greater sense of joy and happiness. Malia?
Minimizing distractions. Minimizing physical or sensory distractions, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, or pain. You should minimize mental distractions, thought, simulator, autopilot, emotional, sadness, anger, frustration, and spiritual. Loneliness, emptiness, hopelessness, helplessness.
So just about anything can be a distraction. However, it's important to understand that as you become more of an advanced or intermediate practitioner, each of these distractions can actually become the object of meditation and contemplation. So remember, as I just mentioned, suffering can light the path. For now, however, we're just going to focus on the fundamentals. We're going to focus on posture. Once again, as with any martial art, you need to understand and have the fundamentals down solid. Okay? So, next, proper posture allows for proper physiologic processes, virtually all of them. So whether blood flow and circulation, if you're sitting in the wrong position, you're going to start to get uncomfortable. You'll start to have low blood flow, your skin will hurt, it'll burn. Digestive processes, right? If you sit around on the couch all day in a bad posture, you'll probably end up getting constipated, right? Well, posture really helps all of that stuff move through your body. Malia?
It also helps with proper muscle alignment and function. It also can help with the skeletal alignment and function.
So I know it seems to be a stretch, but it can also help with your endocrinologic function. So your endocrine is all the hormones. So we mentioned the HPAA, which we will discuss in the future. Very, very important from a Zenjutsu standpoint. But it helps the downstream hormonal effects, decreasing your cortisol levels, decreasing your adrenaline levels, so lowering your blood pressure, ultimately lowering your desire to eat, etc. In addition, it really helps you to understand your balance, paying attention to your body, and becoming aware of your center of gravity. And finally, Malia?
It allows your chi to flow freely.
So, very well put. Yeah, I believe so. So, once again, it's really the beginning of learning the process of self-regulation. And self-regulation, we will go into that in a great deal of detail, is so important with Zenjutsu. One of the most important things, if you could learn how to control your stress levels, detect your vagus nerve tone, downregulate your sympathetic tone, upregulate your parasympathetic, which is downregulate your fight and flight, upregulate your rest and digest and relax tone, you will improve your blood pressure, decrease anxiety, decrease depression, decrease addictive tendencies. I mean, the list just goes on, and that is where Zenjutsu is so incredibly important, learning how to self-regulate. Also, we mentioned the autonomic nervous system. So what you can do is you can actually, by breathing certain ways, you can upregulate the parasympathetic nervous system. Just opening your thoracic or your chest cavity upregulates the parasympathetic or rest and digest, and it downregulates the sympathetic fight and flight. As far as the management of the vagal tone, that vagal tone is that feeling of that you get when you feel impending doom, if you feel very anxious, just something's wrong, you're having a panic attack, you feel it here through your neck, chest, throat, etc. The vagus nerve is the only nerve that goes directly from your brain to the rest of your body. It is the mind-body nerve. Very important. So you can learn how to detect that and subsequently regulate that, which subsequently regulates the autonomic nervous system, right? And finally, the HPAA, which is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Once again, The vagus nerve affects the autonomic nervous system, which affects this little gland that's in your brain that secretes all kinds of hormones. If you're always anxious, it showers your body with negative hormones and eventually creates this milieu of things which causes all the things I previously mentioned: elevated blood pressure, elevated anxiety, desire to eat, etc., etc. So all of those things are very important.
Some words of wisdom.
Finally, last but not least, as we come to close here, it's important to understand that basically posture really, really does matter.
This is a quote from Max Strom. Remember, it doesn't matter how deep into posture you go. It only matters who you are when you get there.
Very good. So that's the end of Intro to Meditation. Postures, preparation, position, and importance. We'll see you next time at the Zenjutsu Dojo. Thank you and namaste.
Ooh. I love how in the video you're all like...